Hey dancers, and welcome to danceportplace.com, where competitors come first. I'm so glad you're joining me today because I have an amazing guest with me. His name is Goran Nordin, and he is a fantastic coach, judge, and world-renowned adjudicator for Blackpool as well. Of course, he's also a former British champ in Latin. And I want to talk to him about a bunch of stuff today because I've actually heard so many great things about you, Goran. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
First thing I've heard about is I've just heard that you have an amazing style in your coaching. So I want to talk to you about that in just a little bit. And first of all, I want to give a little bit more background that you're London-based, but
yes.
You've been coming often to the U.S. for the past few years, teaching a lot in L.A. and New York. And what I want to know is your opinion about North American dancers contrasting with European dancers.
Well, the first thing is, the first thing that is different, obviously, that we have pro-am system here that you are running very successfully, and I think that's great because it's not only competitor. They are also not only competitors that you're dancing with like a professional partner or an amateur partner, you're dancing also with a teacher, which we don't have at home. So that makes it interesting in that sense of it, but also you have a very wide variety of people that you have in America, because obviously it's a big country and it's a lot of interest in it from dancing, from television, and we have the same at home, but we don't have that pro-am. That was really one of the reasons why I wanted to go in and see a little bit what that was all about, since we don't have that and since I don't normally teach those things. And of course, all kind of dancing requires some help in one way or the other, and I find it interesting to teach some of those people that don't have it all the time. I mean, the pro-am, they have maybe a normal job, students, exactly. And they're having it as a hobby, but after a while it becomes more than a hobby. It becomes more of a living style that they want to feel good. They go to competition, they see that other people look very good, they're very trained, they're very fit, they're having a good atmosphere at the competition, so they want to learn more. And then they're seeking help from other sources, maybe more than from their own teacher. So they're bringing guest teachers in, and that was one of the reasons why I came in the first place. One very famous competition organizer asked me to come one time. I believe it was in 2007 or 2008, to introduce another international Latin coach to that student. And it was very successful. That student actually still dances today. So,
wow.
And we have a great connection. Yeah, very good. Because I judged the competition that year in America where that lady was dancing, and we got great friends. And from there, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And now I'm coming very regularly over here. Yeah. Since I also do more than one style, I do both rhythm and smooth and ballroom and Latin. So that's of course opened the horizon and a few more avenues and a few other clients that's joining too.
I'm actually really thrilled that you said that you enjoy teaching pro-am. I mean, yes. A dancer of your caliber, many times they just want to work with like the cream of the crop, but that really fascinates me. I mean, it shows me that you have a real joy for dancing. Yeah. What is it in the transformation? I mean, you talked a little bit about how it becomes more than a hobby, but how do you feel about your part that you play in that?
Well, I feel that of course there is a lot in every country. There's many good teachers, and of course there is no doubt about America has also a very high skill of their teachers and their former champions and former performance and even theatrical arts and those kind of styles. But what I find it interesting is that it doesn't really matter, in my opinion. This is my own opinion. I'm not talking about whether it's right or wrong, but my own opinion, that everybody is entitled to that information. So that means that if you take example a pro-am student that is maybe not that good as a dancer, with just a few hours with that person, I feel that I could enable them to get the information that is needed specifically for that person. And without a doubt and without any fail, which I've done many times, they've improved so rapidly. If you're just making sure that you're just with a few hints or a few areas with that student can make a remarkable improvement, as well as I'm doing that with the competitor. Because I'm looking at the student and I'm seeing what is their biggest problem, what is it that they need. And there I attack immediately on that subject. And without any doubt, they will be more successful with that one. That's no criticism and no disrespect to their own teacher, but very often, and I can go from my own experience, that's why we have a third eye onto it.
Right.
And I mean, long time ago we didn't even have videos or anything like that, so we only had to see what we see. Now we can videoing ourselves and looking at the students and go back and see. Well, you can see there, for instance, on the video that your leg is bent there, or you're facing or focusing in the wrong direction. And then we add that to our performance, and in the end of it, the end product will be quite successful.
Yeah, I love that, Goran. I love how you're willing to share, your information with anybody and just really see the result in it. That's fantastic.
And can I just say something else as well as that one? I find that the information that I'm giving out as an individual as well as other people, there is no different in the information that I will give out to program students to what I do when I'm doing a top class competitor. And it's possible with maybe a few selected people with a student or a couple to make that team work very successfully, because we can't have lessons with everybody. And just having one or two teachers is maybe not enough as well. So we have to have a very fine and a very specific and very accurate balance on what that particular student is looking for and how successful they will be. But everybody wants to go further, and they want to produce more and more and more. And then when they get more interested, they have more lessons, and we can contract themselves to maybe a longer period of a goal, but also improving rapidly on the things that we're working on all the time, like musicality and performance and, characteristic skill and characterization of each dance and that one. And they will improve, even if they have only danced for, let's say, a year and starting very late, compared to a normal younger competitors that maybe starting when they were 10 or 15 years old. It's a different thing. But everybody needs that constant information, and without a doubt, it is improving, it's working.
I can see why you're very popular. I love that attitude.
I don't know about that, but I also feel maybe what people say about me, that they feel I give them a lot of energy and I give them a lot of support and a very big encouragement for them to make it. I believe it's very true what they say, that, and I can go from my own experience to what I had with my coaches. There was not just a coach, there was more than a coach. There was someone that you can really rely on and talk about all the problems, but really trust that person. And then
mentor.
Completely, right? Like an ice skater or dancer, they maybe have 2 or 3. They have a coach, they have a teacher, and they maybe have then a fitness instructor or something like that, and to boost their skill in energy. But they have those 2, then they bring outside information in to improve that. But they have always a mentor to go back to, or one base or a home where they can check things out.
Yeah, that's
and
fantastic.
It works in the dancing too.
So with your view on Pro-Am, do you think this system could work in Europe?
Yeah, absolutely. We have it in Europe, but not in that extent that we have it, or like you have it over here. But I'm sure with a bit of practice and a little bit more, continue. I believe actually this year in Blackpool was the first time they had Pro-Am shows. And I'm sure that they will run competition there at Blackpool next year too. So that should be very interesting.
Very exciting.
That really open the horizon more and open the map so people can take part in such a big event, which is more of a Latin and boring competition. But if we introduce that to it, I'm sure it's going to be a great success.
Oh yeah, that would
absolutely.
Be thrilling. Now, this is really what I wanted to get to you about, as far as all these great things I've heard about your teaching. You're an expert in timing. This is what everyone says in the musicality. Why do you place such an importance on this aspect of dancing?
Well, very simple in my opinion. If you take an example of one couple doing a show, they have selected their own music, they have selected their own choreography, and they have selected their own style, what they want to do on that one. And they will be the main attraction, since it's only one couple. But since it's not only one couple at the competition, everybody is using the same and one and only the music. For me, it becomes very clear that we must dance to the music. And I know it sounds a bit far-fetched to say that, of course, we're going to dance to the music. That's kind of like a dream. But 95% are not. So if that's the case, we need to introduce something that is more than just dance to the music. And then we're incorporating the styling and getting deeper into the music on when you enter the competition, you really don't know what kind of music it's going to be.
Right.
So you have to have from the beginning already, before you're going into the competition, a great deal of understanding on how to move to music from A to B and what to listen to when the music plays. How long is it? How short is it? How many beats and bars is it? Where can we start? Where do we finish? And use the music as a tool to have a performance to look better.
So that's the variable that's the same for all the competitors, but it's also what you can use to distinguish yourself from. That's
because when I talked to the couples and I said, "Can you not hear it?" They say no. I said, "Okay," but we listen to it again, and very, very late in the lesson, they can actually start to hear something different to what they heard before. They can count to 8, but it's a little bit more than just counting to 8 that's going to be important for a very high level and for a great result.
So when you're judging, the common weakness that you see in how dancers use the music, is it just that they're not using it enough, or what is the weakness that you see where most people can improve as far as this goes?
Well, I'm seeing it this way, also quite simple and quite direct. I'm quite direct in my information when I'm saying to them, not nasty, but pointing it out very specifically. It's not about whether you're right or wrong, or whether it's good or bad. How correct is it? Because I'm not perfect, and I don't expect anyone else to be perfect either. But if the music tells you to do something, we must be very specific to doing it at that time, not before and not after. And very difficult actually to hear that. Not when we're sitting like this and the music playing, we can hear it. But doing that at the same time when you're going to dance, to coordinating your foot pattern with your arm pattern and with your body pattern, it's very difficult. 95% of the couples that I teach, I find is suspect. They're not right and they're not wrong. It's not good or it's not bad. It's just not accurate enough. It's not precisely on it.
Okay, so more precision to bring out that aspect. So when you're talking about, I mean, precision sounds like a technical concept, but at the same time, musical interpretation is more of an artistic concept. Where do you see this? Is this artistry or is this technique?
Well, first of all, we need to beat time to the music. So very often when I give you an example, I say that, oh, you're a little bit slow here. And of course, what they hear the word slow. So immediately they're thinking, okay, I'm going to get there quicker. I said, no, I want you to get there earlier. So for them, the concept, when I'm saying something to them, they just hear what I'm saying, but they can't see why are they slow. Is it because they're doing the movement slow? Or is it because actually they started too late?
Okay.
So they're trying to do things quicker, but it's not. They are still at the wrong time zone. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
so they need to start earlier. And if you're going to catch, for instance, a train at 10 o'clock, you can't leave your home at 10 o'clock. You need to leave prior to that one. And that's exactly the same with the dancing. If you're going to arrive with the foot or the arm or the body at a certain time, we cannot start at that time. We must start prior to that one. So everything is just more specific and much more detailed. Not only the timing with your feet, it's also timing with your body, with your head, with your focus, and with the hand connection. So it brings the whole couple and the whole performance and the whole product together in a much more efficient way and also much more correct and of course much more successful.
Right.
But it takes a great deal of patient to do that with the couples because it's more depth into it. Because everybody can really dance, yeah, but how do they dance? This is my point. How did you get to A to B? What do you do? So just throwing yourself, or is it planning where the legs and feet goes? So it's difficult.
So it sounds like this is a really important thing. Maybe even that people they're watching the dancers, they don't see that they're not doing this, but you can see the difference between somebody who's doing it, as you say, and somebody who's not. You appreciate it more. You don't know why.
No.
So when you're judging, how much value do you put on that compared to the other things you have to value?
A lot. Because I'm seeing it this way, like I'm standing on the floor judging this competition. I can see with my eyes right in front of me. It's like live. It's not a video recording. It's like right in front of me. I have the music behind me, which blasts in my ear. So if I hear something and I see something and they don't synchronize, there is a problem, isn't it? It's like two different frequencies. It doesn't fit. So then I'm wondering, why are they not with the music? And then I'm looking into more detail with the couple, and I see that they are not correctly attacking the right beats and bars to the music. So they are late, and it's not, in the end of that one, it's not accurate. And very often then there will be a lower score in that dance. Because in my opinion, they are not dancing accuracy and precisely to the music that is played. And everybody in the whole audience can see, and everybody can hear, but it seems more difficult than it actually is. It's not so easy. It's very complex.
It sounds like...
Very complex.
Sounds like you would need to go very detailed piece by piece in the choreography.
And people don't do that. So what they do, they're just touching on the surface. But you take ice skating, for instance. They have technical merit when they're doing. And if it's not exactly, they get minus points. That's it. We don't have minus point in our system when we judge. So that means no mark then. Because I can't give them a half a mark.
Right.
So you're either doing it correctly or you're not doing it correctly. And of course, there's only 50-50. It's not about you doing it good or bad. How accurate is it? And it can't be just accurate. You have to be specific, accurate, like a bank. If you want to take out 500, they don't give you 400. They don't give you 600. They give you exactly the amount you ask for. And that's why it's very difficult in the dancing, because if the music says 1, you must do that movement just on that beat. Not earlier, not later. So it's very specific. Mm-hmm. And that's just one step. Imagine that, how many steps you put together in a minute and a half.
Yes.
Maybe it's about 500 steps. It's very complicated. But someone have to make sure that we're doing that in that degree of difficulty and that depth. Then everybody will be much better, but they're not.
So, you've got this down to a science.
I try. That's what people are nervous about when they have lessons with me, because they know how specific I am with the timing and the coordination with the whole package. What I want to see. And it's not only what I want to see, it's actually what most people want to see. And they want to do that themselves. But if they don't feel it, we have a problem.
Right. Now, let me ask you about... Well, you do a lot of judging with the rhythm, a lot of coaching with the rhythm, a lot of coaching with the Latin.
Yeah.
With the smooth, is this a different animal when it comes to timing, or is it the same concept for all the dances?
Well, they have a little bit more freestyle. They're having international standard in its curriculum, so they're doing that one and they're getting into hold position, but then they also open away from that one. And of course, if you take it as the ballroom style, the international ballroom style, when they are in hold, it's a little bit easier because it's actually two people that dance as one, and they're joining each movements together. So it's not so, variety is limited, let's put it this way, and the artistry is limited. They can't fly around with their head. They have to be within specific style and specific hold. But if you're doing into the smooth, then that is much more movement outside the body. So it becomes more difficult in a way, because it is much more things that can go wrong.
Right.
It's much more chance that they are outside in no man's land, and they're trying to find the balance, and they're trying to find a partner. But that also has a styling to it with the timing. All kind of movements has a timing to it, not only the timing on the feet. So very often when they doing these movements with the arms, they have to time that movement. How quickly are they doing the movement? How long are they doing the movement? And what timing is that movement? Cannot just swing the arm. It just doesn't happen that way. And if you look at good couples, finalists in America in the professional smooth, I mean, they're excellent. They are really down to the fine little art on how to move the arms. It's not just swinging it out on the count of 4 or 3. They plan that. And that planning is obviously going to be prior to the event. Cannot just add that on the day. Right, so they are probably practicing more depth than maybe a Latin couple will do.
Mm. So for couples, after hearing you talk, I want to have a lesson with you right away. I'm sure everyone else will too, because I'm fascinated by the subject. But for people who are just hearing this interesting information right now, Is there any way they can start doing something in their practice? Where could you start with this on your own if you want to get more in detail with your timing?
Well, when we see a couple dance, we know, even you, me, everybody, we know very clearly if we like that couple or not. They're simple. So we don't have to think, oh yeah, they're doing it very good. We can instantly see whether we like them or not. We might not see what we like, but we know that I like this and I don't like that. So if a couple really wants to improve a little bit more than they're doing at the moment, they need to be more specific, and they need to be more direct and more precise about what they do. Even when they walk on, spin out, and I'm trying to bring it down to so many details, and it's very hard in the beginning because it feels like this is not going to work. You'll be surprised actually how many things I can get out from the students by doing these methods. Not just put the music on and let them dance their routines. For me that is completely waste of time. So we talk about it, and then they're finding out, oh, I don't do any of that. I don't do it like this. I never heard that before. I said, well then we need to start to do that. But I've seen it before. I've seen it on other people, but I don't know how to do it myself. Because that student also know what they like or what they don't like. Very clearly, right? When we see something, it's more obvious to the human eye than if we hear or if we read about it, or if someone telling you, did you see them, or did you hear about that? They have to experience in a live experience to see it with their own eyes, and then they believe, actually, that's possible. It might be very difficult because I'm not so good as a dancer, but it's possible.
Where they can go with it.
Because they think, oh my God, I can never do it like that. Would you like to try? And then they say, oh yeah. And after some time, they manage. They might not doing it good, but that's not my point. They don't need to do it good. They need to do something different to what they've done before to make that next step in their development. And it is no choice, no compromising. The case is closed.
Just do it.
Just must do it, right? They have a job when they come to the competition. I also have a job as a judge at the competition. I cannot do what I want. I have specific lines. I cannot mark 7 couples if it's 6 couples in the final.
Right.
I cannot mark 2 couples on the same place. I must divide it. Sometimes I don't like it, but that's my job. I have to. And then I have to go into very specific detail to eliminate one of those couples to have 1 first and 1 second, or 1 fifth or 1 sixth. It's very hard.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, this specificness is really what can set the couples apart. I see that now.
And that makes you also, I suppose, good or as popular as a teacher or as a renowned coach. Many of them around at competitions and in the world, I'm sure. But what is that specific person's priorities, right? What is the priority for that coach? We maybe have someone who's doing a lot of choreography, and we have one that's just doing technique, or one just doing performance. But at the end of it, it cannot just be one of those aspects. We need to combine all that information and put in that towards the couples. But the music have to be first priority.
First priority. Well,
Since we're dancing to music.
Yes, of course. It has
That's
to work
what it
together.
Is. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me
You're
today.
more than welcome.
I love talking with you. This was fascinating. Thank you so much. And
pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you again very soon on dancesportplace.com, where competitors come first.